This is the 2024 Polestar 2. It may look the same, but they did make a couple of cosmetic changes. It's more efficient now, and there's more horsepower. Is it worth the watt? Let's find out. Today's a very beautiful day because it's, the beginning of February, and it's like 10 degrees Celsius outside, which is crazy for the weather here in Toronto. But even better, we are now in the 2024 Polestar 2 all-wheel drive, long-range performance package, and so far I am loving this car. How about you, Andrea?
I am also loving this car. I love the way it drives. I have one complaint about this car.
What's your
complaint?
Can we
start with one
complaint?
complaint?
Yeah, let's get the complaints out of the way.
Okay, my one and only complaint about this car is the size. It's a bit crowded.
Crowded or cramped? I mean, there's no one in the back. Hey, get out of here, it's crowded.
It's very crowded. When you have multiple people in the
car, yes.
It feels crowded.
Right, it can feel crowded.
It's cramped.
Well, you know what?
If that's the word you wanted me to say.
We were talking about this earlier today, and it really reminds me of the BMW i4.
It does.
It does a lot.
It does. I'd compare it to that.
And I asked myself, I go, would I rather drive this or the BMW? Because, you know, once you start putting on the performance pack and you go for the long range model, the price gets really close to the more expensive performance version of that i4.
But, okay, so the i4, there are some things I love more about the i4, but there are also things more I love about this car.
Okay, so what do you like about this car over the i4?
This is more comfortable.
More comfortable?
Way more comfortable. The seats are more comfortable. I don't know if I'd say I like the way it drives more, but it does have the interiors. I would say it's pretty comparable.
Yeah, the interior's comparable. I mean,
how
you do get
luxurious
like
it looks.
proper leather vegan. I know Volvo's using more like, you know, sustainable materials in their car, and it's still nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some cheap bits like the
oh,
glossy.
you and your glossy plastic.
I'm not a fan of glossy plastic.
I think it's.
You have it in your Lincoln, and it drives
me nuts. And it has
nuts.
the really nice, the illuminated.
Yeah, that looks
panels,
good. And you see that on the Volvo C40 as well, which I think looks super classy.
Yeah.
But it is a cramped car, considering how much bigger it looks from the outside.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
One thing I noticed though is that you do get a hatchback, which is great.
Which is great. I love that aspect.
You get that coupe style like you would with the i4, which you don't get, let's say, on something like a Model 3. So just being able to like chuck a bunch of big bags without having to like slam it in. Whereas the Model 3 does have a deep cabin, but it's can sometimes be hard to get bigger objects in. You don't have that issue with this car.
Well,
now,
what surprised me the most about this car was when I saw that it only has 14 cubic feet of storage in the back. It felt like way more.
And also has that really cool feature where you can like open up the bottom and hang like your groceries.
Yeah, that's really cool too.
Yeah.
Since half of the time my groceries tip over and everything falls out.
Yeah.
So in this car, you don't have that issue.
That's true. Now let's go back to the driving for 1 second, because I think that's like the important part here. I do find the driving on the BMW to be better. Like, it takes corners better. The car itself doesn't feel as heavy. I think this Polestar is actually heavier than the i4. It takes turns better. This has more of like a rollover because the car is situated higher up. Like when you're in this, it doesn't feel like a normal sedan, like my Model 3 where you're lower to the ground. It feels closer to like a mini crossover.
It does, which is really cool. I like that.
Which is great in terms of like being able to see, but it doesn't feel as sporty as that i4 or that Model 3 dual range. I don't know why I'm doing one of these.
Definitely.
I'm not doing the robot, I promise.
Definitely not as sporty as the i4, but that's okay. I actually kind of like the fact that it's less sporty.
I feel like this is a better city car.
Yes, yes.
In my opinion.
And if someone doesn't want an SUV for their, you know, if they have kids and they don't want to buy an SUV, this is a great option. Even though it's a little crowded.
I wouldn't buy this if I had lots of kids.
Well, okay.
Maybe like
but
one
we have
kid,
two,
one young
right?
kid.
We have two. I would argue that you don't really need an SUV with two older kids. Our kids are already 9 and 11, so do we really need an SUV? We're not really lugging...
Well, for their age, the back seats are fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like once they hit their teenage years, if you still have this car, it will start to feel cramped back there. Also, the fact that they still have the transmission... What's that called?
The hump in the middle.
The hump in the middle.
That's the issue
where a
that
transmission's supposed to go, where this car doesn't have. It's electric. It's kind of disappointing. It would have made the back feel a little bit bigger. I do like the fact that they have these fancy schmancy vents in the back.
Yeah.
You do get some, you know, obviously Type-C ports. I am liking the yellow seatbelts.
They're actually gold.
Oh, excuse me.
They're actually gold.
Gold.
I love gold.
And so they're not yellow.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite features of the car. But I've actually asked a bunch of people and they think they're
okay. So
not that attractive.
Here's the thing. You asked a bunch of soccer moms.
Yes.
Right? They don't like it.
Right.
But if you ask a bunch
love
of dudes like me, we're gonna love it.
Right.
We're going to love it. So it just depends on who you are. If you're a soccer mom, probably not. If you're not a soccer mom, you're going to love it. Also, I love the fact that they match the color to the calipers on the brakes.
Caps.
And also the caps on the wheels.
Amazing. I love that.
It's just those little touches, you know? And just like the little Polestar accents they have around the car with, you know, on the side, you know, you have it on this beautiful window on the top, illuminated. Obviously, that costs extra. But it just ties into a more sporty but classier looking car.
Yeah.
Even like the mirrors. That's something that, you know...
The rear view mirrors?
No, the side mirrors. Yeah, they're borderless, bezel-less.
Right.
And they just give it like this sleek look. You also have the not lane indicators, but notification to let you know if there's a car on your right-hand side if you're, you know, about to make a lane change, which is kind of nice. Obviously, that comes, I think, with the Pilot package. But this moonroof is beautiful. It's like all one big piece of glass. There's no obstructions on it, which I know with the Tesla you have like a middle obstruction in my car, which still looks great, but this just looks really nice. You did say some people complained in the summertime that it can get hot.
I heard if you live in a hot climate, you know, and you have the sun beaming down on the car, it can get hot. We don't have that issue, obviously. Even right now, it's very sunny out. I don't feel like the sun is beaming down on my head.
No, I don't either.
So
no.
I don't think I would have an issue with it.
Maybe the complaints were from people who are bald.
Maybe.
We have to look into
that.
that.
Not us yet, so we're good.
I'm getting there. What else? The cabin. Seats, comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable. No complaints about the seats at all.
They're not perforated, which is fine.
Well,
you can get the perforated seats for an upgrade. I think it's like $4,000, which I probably wouldn't pay $4,000 for that.
Well, because you live in Canada, but if you're in a hot climate, perforated seats are kind of nice.
Yeah, maybe. But I think these seats are really nice. I love these seats. I love the material that they used. It feels like leather, but it's not leather.
Yeah.
So I think they're really nice.
And me as a 500-pound man feel very comfortable sitting in them. I don't feel like my back is being squished in like I did with the Mustang Mach-E.
Your back is not squished?
Well, it was a little tight, you know? Opening the doors is interesting. Like when I first got into the car, I was used to like just grabbing the side to close the door, but there's like these little pockets that you have to put your hand into.
Yeah, that took me a minute to figure out.
It took me a minute for my brain to recalibrate, to understand where that was. You do have a couple of manual controls on the bottom left so that you can program your seats, which work very well. Storage space in the front cabin, a little small.
A little small.
You know?
Have a little bit of storage on the side here.
Yeah, very, like
console.
You can fit keys and coins, but you couldn't put a bottle there.
What I don't love is this. You can only put a cup in there.
So you do have one cup holder that is showing, and if you want to put your second cup in, you have to open up this.
And then no storage.
And you have no storage. You're going to place your cabinet over here. And then the middle console kind of goes up, and it makes, I don't know, just makes the car feel smaller.
So it's a little higher than it needs to be.
The screen, 2 screens, love it. Like I love having Google Maps right in front of me. This one's 12 inches.
That's 12 and that's 11.
12 inches on your front display. You see exactly how much charge you have left. Speaking of which, we charge this to 100%. 440 kilometers.
Which is pretty accurate, that's basically what they said you'd get.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's advertised at 445, right? Mm-hmm. You have obviously how fast you're going. How fast does this car go, Andrea?
It has 455 horsepower
for the dual. That's like Model 3 long range territory, which is great, you know? 0 to 60
in 4.9 seconds, I believe.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And it has 546 pounds of torque.
About a 78 to 79 kilowatt hour battery. So the big changes from 2023 to 2024, nothing really visual. Most of it is just range. So you're getting about 16 miles more of range when you drive. They switched the non-dual motor version from front wheel driving to rear wheel driving. So that will make the car a little bit faster. You also get more range with that version as well.
You get more range with both.
Exactly. Yeah.
A little bit more range.
Now I'm gonna get a little nerdy because I'm the tech guy here, and we got to talk about Android Automotive, not to be confused with Android Auto. So Android Automotive is basically the operating system that Polestar is using to run their infotainment system and obviously the ability to access functions on your car. Now, I like this better than most other car manufacturers. Like if I was to rate car operating systems from best to worst, Tesla would be number 1, Android Automotive would be number 2. And above all of that would obviously be CarPlay and Android Auto. So the difference between Android Auto and Android Automotive is that Android Auto exists on your phone and you have to physically connect it to your car in order to get your maps and your music. This is the best way to do it because it follows you around. You don't need a separate plan. Android Automotive, on the other hand, is built into the car. And look, it runs very well. You know, like they have a vertical screen over here, 11 inches. The bezels are a little chunky for my liking. I would have loved smaller bezels. It works well if you log into your Google account. I love the fact that I can just like load up Google Assistant, ask it to play like today's news, and it knows what to do. Very responsive, more responsive in terms of picking up my voice than the Tesla Model 3. I do like this little knob.
Me too, but it's not a knob.
Well, whatever.
It's a gear shift.
Gear shift. Okay, excuse me.
It's not a knob.
Okay.
Okay, it's a gear shift, and I love that you can put your finger through it when you
put your finger through it.
Right here, like this. You grab it. It's
yeah,
the way you grip.
let's stick our fingers in things.
When you grip the gear shift, it's easier to switch from reverse, and you don't have to turn the car on and off just like your Model 3. You just get in and put it into reverse.
I do like that.
Right? You don't have to. You always forget to turn a car off when you're used to your car. You get into my Lincoln, my gas car.
Right.
You never remember to turn off the car. You just get out. The glove compartment's really big.
Yeah, the glove compartment is actually surprisingly
really
big, which I'm surprised to see. But the horn works well. You got buttons on there if you want to like the horn. Gotta give it a.
While you're at it, why don't you talk about the size of the mirror so you can stare at yourself?
Actually, that's a great idea.
Right? Let's see how big the mirrors are, since that's always your.
Mirrors are not bad.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Oh, and you have a little clip here.
Yeah. For what?
If you want to like put papers and stuff.
Okay.
You know, and there's a little clip on the front window for tickets.
For tickets.
So there you go. You have clips everywhere. You're set. No place for your sunglasses up here though. But I like these lights.
But you can put the sunglasses down here in the middle console.
True. You have capacitive lights at the top and on the sides and the back. Speakers are everywhere. I love that. So the big question, is the Polestar 2 worth the watt? Absolutely. It was a fantastic drive. It was a smooth drive. A little complaint about a little bit of road noise from the tires, but way better than my 2022 Model 3. I think if you're looking at the BMW i4, you should probably check out this car too. It's a little bit more affordable and you get pretty much almost the exact same features. So yes, it's worth the watt, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.